Hello everybody and welcome to another A+ 1101 practice quiz where I'm going to give you a question from every single exam objective, tell you why the right answer is right, tell you why the wrong answers are wrong, and hopefully help you prepare a little bit better for your A+ 1101 exam. Let's go ahead and get straight into it with our first question. The formatting's a bit off with the visuals of this, but hey, it's a question and it works, so just hang in there with me. The question reads, what are the primary functions and differences between MDM and MAM in the context of mobile device and application management? A. MDM focuses on managing individual applications, while MAM is concerned with device-level security and control. B. MDM is used exclusively for personal devices, while MAM is designed for company-owned devices. C. MDM involves managing mobile devices within a company, while MAM, on the other hand, focuses on managing specific applications for security and control. Or D. MDM and MAM are two terms for the same concept and can be used interchangeably. Pause the video if you need a second to think about that one. We're going to go ahead and get straight to the answer, so do pause the video if you need some time. The answer there is, it was C, which is MDM is for managing mobile devices within a company, while MAM focuses on managing the specific applications. So these are two concepts you're going to need to know about for your exam, and you're going to need to be able to differentiate between the two of them. Let's go ahead and help you get your head around that one in case you don't already. So in essence, guys, MDM really is represented by this photo over here to the right. So over here on the right, we have this photo of this guy. Basically, he's working on a mobile phone with a little screwdriver. And in my head, what that makes me think about is MDM stands for mobile device management. So you're managing the entire device. You can almost hold the device in your hand and physically work on it. You manage everything about the device. So you can enforce security policies, right? Talk about setting the specific password complexity you want. Talk about the type of encryption you want. You can talk about what kind of apps are allowed on the device, whitelist and blacklist particular apps. These apps are allowed. You cannot install these apps. You can remote wipe the device if it gets stolen. On the other hand, MAM stands for Mobile Application Management. And the way I get my head around this one, a handy trick that I think about is, you know, I imagine there's some creepy guy and he's trying to slide into the DMs of a girl and he's saying, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to go on a date with me, ma'am?" It's Mobile Application Management. In order to contact her, he has to go through an application, and he's coming in and he's saying, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you want to go on a date with me?" On Instagram, right? And what is Instagram? It's an app. So I don't know, it's a funny brain trick, but maybe that doesn't work for you, in which case just remember mobile application management is just managing the individual application. So you're containerizing the data on the device, right? You're saying, look, this is the data, I'm going to put it in like a little virtual container and I'm going to manage this. Everything else is your business. I'm just working on this, right? So you're securing your access to enterprise apps. You can set the password or the PIN for the app itself, but you don't actually have control over the device, just the app specifically. Okay, and that came from exam objective 1.4, which is down here, MDM/MAM. So you're going to need to know the following about that, what both of them are. You're going to need to know about corporate email configuration, so you can configure your corporate emails through these policies. Two-factor authentication. You can set two-factor authentication, of course, and corporate applications. So, you know, you would use MAM to manage your corporate applications. So, of course, there's more detail there, but the gist of it is just the fact that MDM is the device, MAM is the specific application. That's most of it. Of course, we'll go into more detail with more specific questions in later videos, but for now, that's all we're going to cover. And honestly, that's largely a decent amount to get you through covering that exam objective. Of course, there's more, but that's most of what you'll need to know, to be honest. Now, the question number 2 from exam objective 2, we'll go ahead, get straight into it. It reads, a network administrator is looking for a solution to effectively manage a large number of cables in their organization's network infrastructure. They want a method that allows for easy reconfiguration without the need to replace cables every time a change is made. Which of the following options best addresses this requirement? A. Implement a firewall to manage cable configurations and reconnections. B. Use network interface cards or NICs to facilitate cable management and reconfiguration. C. Utilize optical network terminals or ONTs to organize and reconfigure network cables, or D, integrate patch panels to organize and streamline cable connections? Pause the video if you need more time. We're going to go ahead, get straight to the answer. The answer is D, integrating patch panels. So for this one, you basically need to know what these are, what each of these options are, and that would get you through. So first of all, a patch panel, right? There's information on screen here. Feel free to read it. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the general concept. So you've got an image down here. This is what it looks like, right? You can see a bunch of Ethernet cables have been plugged into this square looking thing. This is a patch panel, and the diagram at the top is what I'm going to walk you through now. So you might have an office full of computers over here to the left, and you, of course, you need to connect them to a switch via Ethernet cables, but you might want to at some point move these computers around. Now, if you think about it, if you're trying to plug blue PC directly into the switch and you decide, you know what, I actually want to move blue PC to where green PC is, and I want to move green PC to where blue PC is, I'm going to have to unplug this and then take this computer all the way to the other side of the office, and the cable's probably not going to be long enough, or if it is long enough, it's going to probably end up running across the entire office space, right? It's going to be really messy. I'm going to have to do a lot of reorganizing. So to bypass that, what we do is we implement a patch panel. So at the moment, PC has an Ethernet cable running, as we see here, into the patch panel, and it terminates here. There is another Ethernet cable on the other side, right? So you've got these two ports, and they're actually linked together. So it's plugged in here from blue PC, and the next port is aligned to this port, and that then plugs into the switch with a much shorter, much more compact cable. So we might then decide we want to swap these computers over. So we swap them, right? Green PC is swapped, blue PC is swapped. So they've swapped positions. They're on opposite sides of the office. But you might notice, hey, hold on, we just plugged in blue PC into the same Ethernet cable as green PC. Isn't that going to mess up everything over here? Not at all. Because what we've done is we've said, okay, originally blue PC was plugged into this port, and that was aligned here. But because we have this patch panel separating everything, we can just say, all right, we've actually swapped these over. So we're going to configure this port to be aligned with this port over here. So green PC has changed ports on this side, but as far as the organizational side of the patch panel is concerned, you don't have to unplug anything or reorganize anything. You just reconfigure the port. So everything on this side stays the same, and it's only the things on the office side that change. So you can literally just unplug blue PC, move it, and switch the cables around, and then reconfigure the ports instead of having to drag these cables all the way across the office. So it's just way more efficient, right? So that's pretty much the general concept of a patch panel. Now we also had a firewall. So a firewall is can be hardware or software, and there's multiple different layers of the model that it can exist on. It can simply say, look, I'm not going to allow anything through to this IP address if it is from this IP address. Or it can say, I am not going to allow anything through port 23 because that's not a port that I want to allow traffic over. You also have more advanced versions such as packet filtering, which is actually a type of firewall that examines the packets and looks at their source address, destination address, and port number all together and uses that information to decide whether it's going to let it through. Stateful inspection, which is much more advanced. It's not just looking at those simple details. It's actually going ahead and examining the packet itself, tracking the conversation between the devices, and only allowing traffic that's part of the authorized communication flow. So basically, it's just looking at what's actually happening in detail there and saying, is this something that's meant to happen that I should let through? It's inspecting the packet itself. So you also have application firewalls, right? So you can have a look at the application level there as well. But essentially, you just need to know a firewall, especially for the 1101. A firewall is something that allows or disallows network traffic to come in, right? So in this case, you got the internet, the firewall saying, yes, I will allow traffic from the internet to access this IP address through this port. However, if traffic from the internet tries to access this PC through port 23, perhaps might be the rule, I'm going to deny that, and that's not going to get through. That's really the basic concept you need to understand. You can look into it in more detail if you feel like you need to, and it's probably not a bad idea, but that is the basic concept, and that honestly, understanding that should be plenty. But hey, speaking of that, it's about time for our sponsor. If you want more information, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. All right, back to the video. Let's go ahead and have a look at NICs. We also talked about a network interface card. So basically, these are the cards that allow you to actually access the internet. You can get a network interface card that allows you to access the physical network through an Ethernet cable, and you can also get a wireless network interface card. Of course, most laptops and computers are going to have both of these, but you do need the two separate cards, one for wired, one for wireless, right? So that's what you use to access the internet itself. That's pretty much what you're going to need to know about that. Now, an ONT is what is used if you have an optical network, if you have a fiber internet connection. You're going to have the fiber. You can't plug the fiber directly into your house to get an internet connection. It first has to be plugged into the optical network terminal, which takes that fiber and actually translates it into a language your house's internet connection can understand, and then you can get that internet connection. So it's like the middleman. It's like the translator, right? It's like if you get arrested for hacking into the government's office, which of course I don't recommend on this channel. Please don't do that. I don't endorse that behavior. FBI, don't come for me. But if that happens, you might need a translator to tell the arresting officers what you were doing. The optical network terminal is your translator for your fiber network connection. So if you have fiber network, you plug the fiber into the optical network terminal, and then you would have that translated, and then you would plug your relevant internet connection in on also into the optical network terminal, and that would then go into your modem, which would then give you your internet connection that you can access. So it's like the translator in the middle, right? That's pretty much what you need to know about the optical network terminal. So for that, you might be asked at some point, Bradley has a fiber internet connection. Which of the following is he most likely to have? DSL modem, ONT, things like to that effect. Just be able to know ONT is associated with fiber internet connection. That's largely at a high level what you'll need to know. That's from exam objective 2.2. So we looked at the patch panel, we looked at what that was, we looked at a firewall, and we looked at these two over here as well. You'll need to know all these other ones. You need to be able to clearly talk about what these are as well, so don't skip out on those. Now, we'll get to the next question, exam objective 3. Let's do it. As a tech-savvy individual, you're looking to connect your mobile devices efficiently with a versatile connector that offers a bidirectional plugging, allowing insertion in any orientation. Which connector type best fits your requirements for connecting mobile devices? A, RJ11, B, USB-C, C, F-type, or D, DB9. Pause the video if you need some more time. We're going to get straight to the answer because we're trying to make it quick and snappy as we possibly can. 3, 2, 1, here we go. The answer is B, USB-C. So essentially, guys, USB-C is a connector for modern devices, largely Android modern mobile devices. You can plug it in upside down. There's no right way, which is really, really good. So it's used for connecting modern devices, charging modern phones or mobile devices. You can also connect modern peripherals as well. It's super, super fast rate of data transfer, and you can plug it in either way. So that's one of the those are the main strengths of that. Now the other options, RJ11 is what you use to connect telephone lines or an internet connection over telephone lines, which is otherwise known as DSL internet. And it looks like this little guy here. It's this little tiny angry dinosaur looking dude. I picture this as a little mouth with his little sharp teeth, and he looks like he's trying to be dangerous, but he's too small to be scary. So it's just like, oh, what are you trying to do, bro? You're an old phone line connector. You're not going to hurt anybody. And the other option there was the F-type connector, which is used for television or also cable internet. So internet that runs over television cables, essentially. And it looks like this little kind of screw-in type looking connector. So if you hear cable internet connection or a television connection or a connector used for television, cable internet, you're looking for an F-type connector there. And finally, we had DB9, which is a serial connector. So one of these old looking guys used for serial communication, and you'll also use them to manually configure network hardware as well. Not something really commonly done anymore as far as I understand, but insofar as you need to know for the exam, if you need to manually configure a switch, for example, you might plug in a serial connector such as the DB9 in order to do that. Okay, So that is from exam objective 3.1 over here, different connector types. And you can see the other ones that you'll need to know. We didn't cover all of them, only some of them, the ones highlighted, you'll need to know all of them. So keep that in mind. Now, it's also in 1.3 where it says, given a scenario, configure accessories and ports on mobile devices, where it talks about USB-C there as well. But basically, you just need to know what it is, what the pros and the cons are, and we did outline that in this video. It's also good to know the speeds of the different connections. That will be important for your exam. We're not going to cover that here because it's not quite in the exam topic that we're looking at for number 3. But I do cover that in my learning guide. So hey, if you want that, go check it out. All right, I promise I won't plug myself again. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next question, which reads, a software developer approaches you asking about your available cloud models. They state that they are willing to configure the OS and develop their own software from scratch. What of the following implementations best suits their needs? A, PAAS, B, DAAS, C, IAAS, or D, SAAS? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get to the answer right now. The answer is C, IaaS, otherwise known as Infrastructure as a Service. So for your exam, you'll need to know about these 3 different models. The first one is Infrastructure as a Service, and I just Googled this on Google Images, and Red Hat have this really good image, so all props to them. Red Hat on Google, thanks guys. So Infrastructure as a Service, as they outline here, basically gives you the hardware that you need, but it's up to you to install the operating system. It's up to you to build your application and then run your application, right? They give you the hardware. That's about it. So over here, you don't manage your own data center. It's fantastic. So you're hiring someone's data center. You're hiring someone's hardware. You don't have to fork out lots of money to buy that stuff for yourself, but you have to set everything else up. On the other hand, you have platform as a service, which is here. So they give you the hardware and they also give you the operating system, and they'll often give you, in a sense, like a platform to start building from. So it's almost like they're giving you building blocks, and you just have to organize those building blocks in a way that builds what you want to build, essentially. So that would be great for someone who wants to, they don't want to worry about getting the hardware, installing the OS, but they want to build their own software, right? That might be a good example of that. And finally, software as a service. So that's just the finished product. Basically, when you are using a finished product, it's ready to use, you're using software as a service. You're not really doing anything. You're paying for a ready-to-use service. So the keywords in this question here that gave it away was they said they were willing to configure the OS. So they're going to install the operating system themselves and develop their own software from scratch. So they're not going to be software as a service because they're going to develop their own software. So that rules that out. And they're going to configure their own operating system, right? And so immediately we know the only one where you're configuring your own operating system is infrastructure as a service, where you get that hardware but nothing else. So the only other option there we didn't cover was desktop as a service, which is basically you are hiring a desktop that exists in the cloud, and you are using your device to connect. All the hardware for that desktop, for that device, is handled over there. You're just connecting to that device, right? So theoretically, you could access like a high-end computer over there with very minimal resources yourself. So you're having a desktop without having to have all that hardware and actually run the desktop yourself. You're accessing a desktop in the cloud, connecting to it remotely, and having access to those resources from the comfort of your own home or a beach in Hawaii, if that's where you happen to be. In which case, you want to swap places? Anyway, okay. No jokes aside, moving on. That's from exam objective 4.1, summarize cloud computing concepts. So you need to know about, here we go, IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. Also, these different cloud models. I covered that in a recent video though, so check out my other 1101 quizzes to get a rundown on those. So, that being said, we are gonna go ahead and do the final question, which reads, you retrieve a printed page from your laser printer and notice that the toner is easily smudged across the page. What could be the likely cause of this issue? A, dirty print heads. B, scratches on the photosensitive drum. C, a malfunctioning fuser assembly, or D, incorrect color calibration? As usual, pause the video if you need more time. We're going to go ahead and get straight to it. 3, 2, 1. The answer is C, a malfunctioning fuser assembly. So this essentially comes down to knowing the parts in different printers and what is responsible for what. So a fuser assembly is responsible for fusing the toner, like the ink, in a, it's called toner in a laser printer, not ink. So the toner in a laser printer to the paper itself. It heats up that toner and it fuses it to the paper. So if it doesn't heat it up, if it doesn't fuse it to the paper, it's going to be able to be smudged, right? So if you're getting smudge across your paper, if the ink or the toner, sorry, is easily smudged, that's going to be a fuser issue. That's always going to be your go-to. If it's smudging, it's a fuser issue. Another option that was available to you there was dirty print heads. Now, dirty print heads, essentially, they might get clogged sometime. And when they're clogged, they might scratch that page up. So if you have lines down the page, you might be having dirty print heads. And just remember that a print head is only used in an inkjet printer. So this question was about a laser printer. So even if we were talking about lines down the page, it can't be this because laser printers don't have print heads. Inkjet printers have print heads. So it comes down to knowing the individual components of each individual type of printer. So it can't be this answer. We also had a scratch on the photosensitive drum. Now this is a cause of a line down the page in a laser printer. So the photosensitive drum is like a little drum. If there's a scratch on it, the toner where that scratch is isn't going to be transferred. So a line will appear on that paper. So that is going to be the cause of that issue in a laser printer. If you have a line down the page, it's going to be a scratch on the photosensitive drum. And finally, incorrect color calibration. If your colors are showing up wrong, you're just going to need to calibrate the color settings, and that should pretty much fix the problem. Now, if you found this video useful, please go ahead and head over to journeytocyber.com where I have, as listed there, the only products you'll need to pass your A+ exam. Of course, you can get through this with free video content if you really want to. The pro of my stuff is basically I take everything, I take the things that I learned and the problems that I went through when I was studying for my A+ certification, trying to look at all these different resources, exam objective over here, one over there with this video, but then this video is over here, and then they only talk about it briefly, but they don't go into detail, and then there's no questions, and then I don't know how to really, what to do to understand it. I basically just take all that confusion away and I put it in one document in my learning guide, and I've gotten a lot of good reviews. You can head over to journeytocyber.com and see what people are saying. I have lots of reviews on there. Learning Guide is my #1 seller. I also have 5 practice exams, which basically give you 5 full-length practice exams, each of which has either 2 or 3 performance-based questions on there. And then I also have my performance-based questions simulations. So there's a lot on there, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the best value for money out there on the market, and it is really, really super affordable considering what the other people selling things that I don't think are as good as mine are charging. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully I see you at journeytocyber.com. Okay, bye guys. Good luck with that exam.